back to FlexCandle, where we read the candles and flex the moves. I'm Flex, and today we're diving into a full top-down analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, and gold. We're going to start from the higher time frames, work our way down to the lower time frames, and check to see if we find any good setups. Now remember, this is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. All right, guys, currently it's 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time. The price of Bitcoin is at $117,840. Before we start off with the top-down analysis, we're going to go over 3 banging trades that finally played out. This is amazing, guys. For the FlexCandle community, we're going to start off here with the 15-minute chart. Yesterday, I drew this flag and I said that the measured move was going to take us to 116,192. And as you can see, we actually went all the way to 118,896, practically $119,000. So that's the first trade that won yesterday. Congratulations to whoever took that. Now the next trade is the inverted head and shoulder pattern, which I created around July 6th, and I said that this complex inverted head and shoulder pattern would break us out to approximately 117,832. And as you can see right here on this dotted line, we made it exactly to that measured move. It took a while, but we finally made it. Another winning trade. Congratulations to whoever took that trade as well. And last but not least, on the weekly time frame, you guys know I've been talking about this for months, that Bitcoin would hit at least 117k to 120k, and we hit pretty much 119k. Falling wedge, measured move here takes us to 117,918, and as you guys can see, we broke out exactly to that measured move. Once again, guys, congratulations. We have been killing it so far on this channel with all these trades. Big wins for us. All right, guys, so now let's start off with the top down analysis with Bitcoin. Let me take off these patterns because they already played out. So on the weekly right here, currently we're having a gigantic green candle, and this will be the 3rd green candle in a row. We still have to wait 2 days and 4 hours before this candle closes to see. The stochastics are toppy, but look, we're curving back up. This is bullish. We're above the 21 moving average. The 21 moving average is currently at 96,697. I'm not going to lie, we're getting kind of far, and you guys already know, we get too far away from the 21 moving average, either we have to start flagging out sideways and wait for the 21 moving average to catch up to price, or unfortunately we're going to have to dip down and meet the 21 moving average somewhere in the middle or all the way down there. Now what's important to me is that we close above these wicks in order to stay bullish. This could easily become a wick. Look at this candle here. We went all the way down, we went all the way up, and then at the end of the day ended up being a indecisive wick here. Look at these candles here. This one was all the way up here, and then we just wicked all the way down. Hopefully that does not happen to this. I would say we honestly have to stay above 115k to remain bullish. If we were to wick down and we close down here again, it's not going to look so good, because that means we didn't really even do anything. We just wicked down. Now we take a look at the stochastics on all the other time frames really quickly. On the 6th day, we see that we're curving up, so that's bullish. On the 5-day, again, we're curving up after falling down. The 4-day, we're on the way up. On the 3-day, we're also on the way up. This is a beautiful flex candle here. On the 2-day chart, we still have a lot more room to continue going up here. And on the 1-day chart, as you can see, the stochastics were on the way down a couple of times, but we continue to curve back up. Again, the 21 moving average is a little bit far. This is at 108,115. So, you know, we could possibly make another move up, but then eventually we're going to have to go sideways and wait for this 21 moving average to catch up here. Now, on the weekly chart, something that I forgot to mention is we already went and got all the wins on all the patterns pretty much that I've ever said. This is the remaining pattern that I drew not too long ago, and this is this flag that would take us all the way to 135k, pretty much a little bit over 135. And as you can see, we're already breaking out. So this is the next measured move that I have, the next big measured move. That 117 took a while to get there too. Let's see how long it takes us to get to 135, but that's the next thing that I see playing out in the shorter, midterm, possibly even long term. We would have to see. I think Bitcoin's probably going to go higher, but I see us going at least to the 135. All right, so we were in the daily chart. As you can see, like I was telling you, this flag is already breaking out. Take off the pattern so we can see a little bit better. Now the 22-hour chart, getting a little bit toppy in the stochastic. Same thing with the 8-hour, the 10-hour. Now on the 4-hour chart, we are toppy here. Now we could either roll all the way down because we are far away from this 21 moving average, which is at a 112,538. Now maybe we could make another hump here and we go up, and then maybe we come down somewhere to 115. So what I would want to do is kind of make a flag here to see if we can make this next impulse, this next next measured move here. This flag, I'm going to see if I draw it possibly on the 1 hour chart. Let's see how that's looking. See, the 1 hour chart looks on the way up. It kind of looks like it wants to curve here on the stochastic. So let's draw the flag here on the 1 hour chart. We are above the 21 moving average, so that is bullish. And now this measured move would take us all the way to 125k. So that could possibly be the next measured move that we get currently. That's the flag that I'm going to play with. Let's see what ends up happening. Again, the 4 hour is a little toppy. See how it looks on the 4 hour. So maybe we could come to the bottom of this channel, which would be like a 117. Maybe the lowest we could come down is 115. We get back in the pattern, but I see 125 coming sooner than later. The 15-minute chart does look like we want to come down before we go up. Now, at least we are above the 21 moving average here. Now, if things go south and we do fall down, we have the 21 moving average on the 4 hour to hold us as support, which is at 112,451. And then last line of defense is the 200 moving average at 107,171. But hopefully we're not going to go that low. So overall, guys, I see Bitcoin being bullish. We're probably going to go sideways or possibly make a bigger move. But once we make that bigger move, we're going to have to go sideways for a little bit or even retrace and come back down, because we are far away from the 21 moving average in a lot of the time frames. But that's the next play that I'm seeing. Let's see if that ends up working out for us. Now let's head over to Ethereum. And on Ethereum, the price is currently 2,985. I believe yesterday we made it to 3,037. It's the first time we cracked to $3,000 in a while. We have been playing around, as you can see earlier in the other weeks, with all these wicks. We haven't been able to get above certain price ranges. We finally cracked the 21 and the 200 moving average with strength. Now the weekly stochastics are starting to curve back up, but we are getting toppy, so we have to assume that the run could end in a little bit. You know, we might have to go sideways, come back down. I do have a falling wedge pattern that would break us out here to approximately 3,400, let's call it. I also had this on a flag that will break us out pretty much around that price, 3,300. So far we are breaking out of both. We already got most of the measured move of this falling wedge, and this flag, we're halfway there. So that's the next play that I'm seeing for Ethereum. Let's see how it looks here on the daily chart. On the daily chart, the stochastics are starting to get toppy. This looks like it's going to round out. Hopefully it continues dragging, but very important, we're above the 200 and the 21 moving average. The 21 moving average is at 2,529. So again, we might have to go sideways for a little bit and wait for that 21 moving average to catch up. Take a look at the 4 hour chart. We're toppy here. This looks like a head and shoulder on the stochastics. It looks like we're on the way down. We have some wickage here, which means there's resistance. We couldn't get above really that $3,000 area, and now we're forming a red candle here. We still have 3 hours before this closes, and the 21 moving average is at 2,790. So with this 4 hour, I see us just consolidating, possibly making a flag here, waiting for this price to come and meet us. Let's make a flag here also on Ethereum, and let's see what the measured move would be for this. If this ends up playing out, this will take us to approximately 3,250 around there. So let's see if that flag does play out. Let's see what ends up happening with Ethereum. But so far we are getting bullish on Ethereum. Again, it all depends on what's happening with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does make it to that 125, 135 range, then of course I believe that Ethereum is going to go beyond 3,500, maybe 4,000. If we start to slip on Bitcoin, start testing 110 again and stuff like that, that's going to put the brakes on Ethereum and the altcoins. Now let's head over to Cardano. And on Cardano here on the weekly chart, the stochastics are looking very good. We're low and we are on the way up. The RSI is up, and look at this, guys. We finally broke above the 200 moving average and the 21 moving average. Again, 2 days and 4 hours before we're able to close this, we already started wicking down. We went all the way to 77 cents. We're currently at 72 cents. So hopefully we could stay above that 21 moving average, which is at 69.80, so we could remain bullish. If we lose that during the week, then you know things change. Now we head over to the 1 day chart. We're above the 21 with strength, but look, we wicked down so far from the 200 moving average, which is at 75 cents. So we have to get back up here. We have 3 hours before this closes. It will be important to come back and check where this closes. We still have room here in the stochastic to move around a little bit and drag, so hopefully we could break this. But until we don't really break this with strength, you got to be a little bit weary with Cardano. But Cardano looks to continue going up. There's going to be the midnight airdrop for whoever holds Cardano in their wallet and stuff like that. So there's some news that's going to be going on that could put some hype on Cardano and make it come up. Now on the 4 hour chart, we are getting toppy here. We have a topping tail. We have a red engulfing candle here that closes in about 3 hours, and we are far away from the 21 moving average at 64 cents. What's bullish is that we are above the 21 in the 200, but we need to remain above this in order to remain bullish. See how the 1 hour chart looks? We're touching the 21 moving average at the moment, but stochastics are low enough. You see what patterns we had here, and for the patterns that we had is this major wedge. That's the major pattern, and this falling wedge would break us out to about $1.52. I've had this falling wedge here for a while. We've been playing around here. We finally broke out, but I'm not liking this wick. So let's see on the 1 hour chart what we could do. I'm going to be conservative with the measured move here with Cardano since it's lagging behind a little bit. But if we were to break out of this kind of like flag falling wedge type of pattern, it would take us to at least 80 cents. So let's see what ends up happening since we are low here on the stochastic RSI. Now let's head over to XRP, and XRP on the weekly looking very good, just like Cardano. We're on the way up. RSI is on the way up. We're above all the moving averages, especially the 21 moving average. This looks right here like a double bottom. And let's see what pattern I had here. I also had this kind of in a falling wedge that will take us to $3 and about 28 cents. And we made it so far to $2.97. Pretty close. I had this other falling wedge here. This is another winning trade for XRP where we made it beyond the measured move. So congratulations whoever took this XRP trade. Now let's head over to the daily chart. On the daily, we're starting to get a little toppy. This is a big wick down. We still have 2 hours, 3 hours before this closes, but we are above the 200 and the 21 moving average. We need this 21 moving average to cross the 200 moving average in order to be bullish. This 200 moving average is at $2.36. So again, if things start to get a little shaky for Bitcoin and all the other altcoins, it's possible that we could come back to test this. So we're not out of the water yet. We already made a big run. I can see us consolidating here for a little bit since we are far away from the 21. On the 4 hour chart, as you can see, a red engulfing candle. We had a big wick down there 3 candles ago. The 21 moving average is at $2.48, and the stochastics are at toppy here. So I do see us coming back down possibly to $2.50, $2.40 still for XRP before making a bigger move. Take a look at the 1 hour chart. Yeah, bearish divergence on the stochastic RSI. We still got to come down, and the 21 is at $2.61. So I will hold off if you're not already on XRP before getting in. Again, not financial advice. This is something that I would do, and see if I could get in a little bit lower. Already most of the major move already happened, so let's see what's up happening with that. All right guys, and then the last one for today is gonna be good old gold, and the stochastic RSI are getting low here. We still have to drag a little bit before we curve up, but it's starting to reset. Currently the price of gold is at $3,553. We are above the 21 moving average. I have this in a flag pattern that will break us out to approximately $3,750, even $4,000. We are breaking out a little bit here, so let's see what ends up happening. This could take a couple weeks to still play out. I ended up making this flag sometime in May. As you can see, we've been tracing it pretty much perfectly. Been telling you guys for a while that we're going to go sideways. If crypto is up, usually gold is not going to be so high up, going to go sideways or possibly a little bit down. And the daily chart, it looks like we could have some movement. We're trying to fight and keep above the 21 moving average, which would be important in order to continue being bullish here. 21 moving average is currently at 3,346, and on the 4 hour chart, the stochastics are starting to get toppy. We have a topping tail here. We're far away from the 21, which is at 3,319, and the 200 is at 3,340. So we do need this 21 moving average to cross all these moving averages and get above the 200 moving average to remain bullish. The way that this flag is set up, it looks like we could drag into sometime in August, the end of August, before we even see some movement up. But let's see what ends up happening with gold. Right now we're just going sideways. All right guys, so that's the breakdown. If this gave you clarity or a setup to watch, do me a favor, like, drop a comment, subscribe, and if you have a stock or crypto you want me to go over, drop it in the comment section. This is FlexCandle, where we read the candles and flex the moves. Catch you on the next chart.